Yeah, Santiago is one of those places that you can indeed call home. Santiago is one of those places that you go to it for the first time and you're in love. Santiago has everything that you need, whether you're an expat, a traveler, or a gringo, passport bro, whatever terminology, whatever word, whatever title that you would like to use, you can go to Santiago and feel at home. Uh, Man, it seems like from my first time in Santiago, I started to witness what Santiago had to offer, right? And that's that at home feeling. You know, a lot of times when you're going on vacation, it feels like vacation. A lot of times when you're going on vacation, you're getting these touristic vibes, you're getting this away vibes, the different cultures, the foods, the activities, the people, the music. Going to Santiago is like going to your grandmother's house, your mother's house, your sister's house. Going to Santiago makes you feel that you're at home. Going to Santiago is not a distraction. It's not the home away from home. It's your second home. Santiago has changed over the years, positively speaking, of course. Santiago is and has always been my favorite city in the Dominican Republic. But as I traveled through the Santiago streets, as well as the Santo Domingo, as I've traveled through the Santiago streets, I've noticed that there's buildings after buildings after buildings, unfinished apartment buildings that they're working on. They're building bridges and overpasses. Santiago doesn't remind me of the Dominican Republic. Santiago reminds me of USA. Santiago reminds me of New York City, Dubai, Singapore. I am surrounded by high rises. I am surrounded by high rises. I am surrounded by an amazing architecture, the economy, everything about Santiago I love. And people want to say, hey, why Santiago? And I want to say, hey, why not? Let's take a moment. You know, a lot of times when we're traveling, we have problems finding good places to eat. We have problems finding restaurants and malls. And if you've seen that mall in Santiago, Agora Mall, it is huge. It's enormous. It's like the Dubai. It's like the Dubai Mall in Dubai, of course, right? You know, I got lost in the Dubai Mall, right? Maybe 2 years ago. You can literally get lost in the Agora Mall in Santiago. Literally, it is just that huge. But people talk about quite a few things while traveling. People have concerns, and they're legit concerns, of course. One of those concerns is cost, right? Santiago, like any city in the world, if you want to eat lobster and crabs and you want to eat steak every day, yes, you can do that. But at that same token, you can have a frugal lifestyle. You can spend a small amount of money and have an amazing selections of food. So living in Santiago and the cost of foods and transportation, all of those things usually take a toll on people's pockets. They're major concerns, and don't you worry, transportation is cheap. Uber is cheap, $2 here, $3 here, $4 here, $5 here, depending on if you tip or not. Right? I usually I tip all of my drivers. I tip everyone for that matter. So it may be a little bit more, but going from one place to the other, my hotel to a Royal Mall might have been $5, $4. Where in the world does that happen? The prices of getting around in Santiago reminded me of Thailand. You can get on a what's that app in Thailand? Boat. I think it's Boat. It might be Boat. I think it's something else though. You can get on one of those apps in Thailand and the guy come on a bike and pick you up, and or a guy comes in the vehicle and picks you up, and you look at your Uber, it was $2, $3. Santiago, and I hate to compare Santiago to Thailand, but I have to compare Santiago to Thailand from a standpoint of getting around, maneuvering, getting from point A to point B. at a relatively cheap cost. So we've discussed food, right? Listen, if you want to eat lobster, steak, and shrimp, you can do that. But if you want to eat regular food, quote unquote local food, not so expensive food, you can do that as well. It's all within your budget. So we've touched on food. All right, we've touched on transportation. Yes, Uber is cheap. But if you were going to live in Santiago, not just visit and try to find your wife like I go there and try to find my wife, look into where you want to stay in Santiago, right? Because I compare Santiago to Dubai or New York City. There are places in Santiago where if you're not out of there by a certain time, you're likely to be caught in some traffic. And let's be honest, this is in every big city. Bangkok, right? There's time. Listen, it's I hate to compare Santiago to Thailand so much. Everyone knows there's a window in Bangkok. If you're not at home outside of that window, you're going to be in traffic. I know if I'm flying out of Bangkok, I'm going to have a 6 o'clock flight in the morning, a 7 o'clock flight in the morning, or a 9 o'clock 10 p.m. flight. I'm telling you, every time I go to Bangkok, actually I'm going to Bangkok soon, couple months. I know Bangkok specifically. And this is one city that I have this rule. If I am going to Bangkok, either I'm going to have an early flight, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to have a late flight, 9 or 10 o'clock p.m. Because you know, right, at a huge portion of that day in Bangkok, if you're moving around, especially on a motorbike, especially a car, you're going to be in traffic for quite a long time. Google Maps might tell you it's 10 minutes. Uber might tell you it's 10 minutes. It's going to take you 47 minutes, right? But to the point of Santiago, just be aware of where you're located at in the city. Because there's some places in the city where I probably would, I'm not going to say wouldn't want to live, but I will be aware of my transportation costs. I will be aware of how far it is for me to get to where I want to go or places that I want to see, right? In any big city, the places near the mall and the downtown areas in any big city is always going to have the most traffic. The same thing for Santiago. Is it Bangkok traffic? No. Is it DC traffic? No. Is it Atlanta traffic? No. But it's still traffic, right? Bangkok being the worst is still traffic, right? So just when you're looking at where you want to live, right? As I've said before, there's a lot of new apartment buildings going up. I guess they call them condos, right? Tomato, per se. Just look at where you want to live, the area, and probably just go ahead and go out there and drive around during the day, or get in an Uber during the day and do some reconnaissance. Right. I have rented a vehicle in Santiago. Pretty sure Santiago. It was Santiago actually. I have rented a vehicle in Santiago quite a few years ago. Right. But here's the thing with renting a vehicle overseas. Here's the deal with renting a vehicle overseas. They say it's $300. It's not $300. You're gonna have to pay a deductible. You're gonna have to pay all these extra fees on top of it. And I think 2 or 3 years ago, I tried to do the same thing, and I went over there. I had a car rented. Let's say it's $300, right? And you want to, I think it was a deductible per day. You spend an extra X amount of money per day for the rental. I'm like, man, it's just not even worth it. I might as well just do an Uber. But you can rent a car, right? You don't have to be like me, like, hey, I'm not spending all the extra money for renting a car. You can be like me and use an Uber, right? So you have the option for doing a recon with an Uber, right? Or you have the option to do the recon with just rent a car and drive around, right? I went to the car and drove around. I could find the video. It's been so long, but I have rented a car in Santiago. But you just got to be cautious of or aware of the expenses of doing so, because it's they're gonna charge you a little bit more, right? They I think it's a deductible or something, right? Whatever it is, you're gonna pay more than what you think that online price is, right? Take those things into consideration. All right, the next thing. Um, in my time in Santiago, because I was in Santo Domingo. Then I went to Panama. Then I flew back. Then I flew back. I flew back to where I came from. Then I flew to Santiago. In my personal experience, right? And listen, I'm not no. I've been to DR once, right? I'm not no. I've been to DR twice, right? I'm not no. I've been to DR 3 times. Listen, I was in the DR last year twice. I went to Punta Cana last year twice. I'm just giving you some perspective, right? I went to DR twice this year, right? Because I was in Santo Domingo. I flew to Panama. I flew home, and then I went to Santiago. So I've been to DR twice this year. That's four in the past 2 years already. And the year's not over with. I know I'm not going back to DR this year. Year's not over with. So I've been to DR 4 times in the past 2 years. Right? That's just four. All right. I was married to a Dominican woman for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Before I got married, you ain't there went to the DR. So I've been to the DR. If it's 3 countries that I've been to a lot, right? If it's 3 countries that I spent a lot of time in over my years of life, the UAE is one of them. Thailand is the next one, and DR is the third one, in no particular order. Dubai is probably number one, right? And Thailand is probably number two, and honestly, that is probably the right order. So I've been in the DR double digits. I've been in UAE double digits, and I've been in Thailand double digits. So if it's 3 countries that I can probably teach a class on, and about my experiences of dating and love life, it's those 3 places. But back to dating, right? Um, I don't run into. Shoot, I got some Dominican pesos right here. Matter of fact, ain't that funny? I got some Dominican pesos here. Oh, that's crazy. But anyway, I feel like there's a lot more regular women in Santiago, right? You're not really getting that vibe that I need some money for you to spend time with me vibes in Santiago that you're gonna get a lot of parts of the DR, right? And I'm not listen, I had a good time in Santo Domingo, right? I'll talk about Santo Domingo in another video. But the worst places, honestly, if I was gonna say the worst places in the DR for someone to live, number one is gonna be I gotta kind of name 3 or 4 places because they all close to each other. Sasua, Cabarete, Puerto Plata. And Sasua has to be number one, right? But they're all close to each other. Like if you put your Tinder or Bumble or Dominican Cupid or whatever app you use, Dominican Cupid's trash. That's another video. If you put your app in Sasua, you're gonna get Cabarete. If you put your app in Sasua, you're gonna get Puerto Plata. So I kind of put them all there together because they're pretty close to each other. And Sasua and Cabarete is like next door, like your next door neighbor. Just get on the bike, go down the street. You're there in 5 minutes, right? 6.5, depending on how fast you're going. But Sasua and Cabarete is pretty close, right? Maybe a little bit more than 5, but you get there very quick. So those are 3 places I would suggest someone not to go to find a wife. Right? If you're trying to find a Dominican, your mom, if you're trying to find a Dominican wife or Dominicana, I'm gonna tell you straight up, don't go to Sasua, Cabarete, or Puerto Plata. If you go to her Instagram and she's been to those places or she frequents those places, that's a red sign. Throw the flag up, my boy. 10-yard penalty. Fourth down. If you go to a women's page and you see Sasua, especially, probably Puerto Plata too. If you go to a women's page on Instagram and you see Sasua up there, call it quits, my boy. Throw the towel in, my boy. That ain't my boy. If you go to a women's page, I'm telling you this, I'm saying it like 20 times. If you go to a woman's page and you see Sasua up there, you see she frequents Sasua, call it quits, my boy. Find you somebody else. Find you somebody else. So back to the point. I've met the most regular woman in my life, not just this trip. I have met the most regular woman in Santiago in my life. I've met one woman that was interested in getting to know me. I've met one woman that seemed to like me. I've met more women that didn't ask for me for money in Santiago, right? And this is, like I said, and I've said this in another video, another dude already blew up the spot, right? I wasn't even gonna tell people about Santiago, right? I was gonna hold it to the grave, but another brother already blew up Santiago and made it hot. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta spill some beans. Santiago is the spot, right? Santiago is the spot. And I said, and I'll say again, I've met the most women that didn't ask me for money in Santiago. But I will say this. Here's my technique for finding women and dating and the social media dating, the online dating game, right? I always get on Tinder about a month and a half, 2 months before I'm going anywhere. I'm gonna be honest with you. And here's the thing, and I'm gonna cut to the chase for a second. No matter what she said, oh, you ain't here, when you coming, that's a long time. You live there, right? Let's say I put my Tinder in, I'm going to Thailand next. Let's say I put my Tinder in Bangkok. She said, oh, man, why you ain't here? You ain't here. 2 months is a long time. Why you on Tinder so early? Let's be honest. She lives there. So in 2 months, when I get there and I hit her up, she's gonna forget everything she said 2 months ago. We're gonna go out and we're gonna meet. We're gonna go out, we're gonna have lunch, dinner, breakfast. Right? She might be dessert. I don't know. But people say, oh, you get on Tinder too early, you get on these dating apps too early. She lives there. Right? I've had women, oh, they mad. Oh man, you not here. And I've seen women's profiles on Tinder. Oh, message me when you're here. Don't message me if you're not here. You live there. Right? So when I get there, we'll hit you up and we're gonna meet. You know what I'm saying? So I have a plan for how I still keep in contact with women, right? I hit them up 2 months early, have a couple lines I use, right? Depending on what country I'm in. If it's a DR, I'm gonna get on Google Translate, say something sweet, right? And I got some techniques and lines and things that I feel like will make you successful, but I also got some other things going on in my life, man, that's gonna help the community. So I can't put out all the gems quite yet. You know what I'm saying? I got some stuff up my sleeve that I'm trying to put in the works. If not this year, early next year. I'm working on some big things for the community to help y'all. But for sure, get on Tinder early, right? Because we're gonna break down some things. I'm gonna be. I like Santiago. I'm not trying to disrespect Dominicans, but I'm gonna say this. Two things. One, a lot of dudes on Tinder in the DR. A lot of dudes on Tinder in the DR. They ain't in the DR. So DR is a popular hotspot. That's one. Probably should be two, but I'm gonna say number one. A lot of these women don't be having no data, man. It was just a few women that I've talked to. You know, on WhatsApp, you get two checks when they go through. It'd be like they send you a message, then you respond. It'd be one check. 30 minutes later, it'd be two checks. You know, message you respond. You one check. An hour and a half later, two checks. Listen, I'm not here to talk about the DR, man, but a lot of these women don't be having no data, man. I don't know if they're using their neighbor's data from down the street, the 30th floor, or what. But a lot of these women don't be having no data, man, or something. Because I've had multiple instances where I'm having conversations with women on Instagram. I'm sorry, I've had conversations with women on WhatsApp. One check. 45 minutes later, two checks. We start messaging. Like the messaging and the communication be real slow for a lot of these women. Not all, but the messaging and communication be real slow for a lot of these women. I don't know if they got data problems. They can't afford data, right? They're using the next door's Wi-Fi from 2 miles away. I don't know, but I have had that issue. So I said that to say, with regards to dating apps, get on them early, make contact early, keep contact early. But we got some more stuff coming out. Let me know what's up in the